Over the past year, there's been a lot of interest in the PMBOK guide. As you probably know, we have the PMBOK guide 6th edition, which has been a gold standard as you prepare to pass your PMP or your interest in project management. And then we have the PMBOK guide 7th edition, which totally changed the landscape as we knew it for many years of project management. Hi, I'm Joseph Phillips. I'm the Director of Education at Instructing.com, and in this course, you and I will walk through the entire PMBOK Guide 7th edition. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition is really broken into two sections that I'll cover in this course. We have the standard for project management, which of course begins with an introduction. We talk about the value delivery system. That's the whole point of doing a project. And then we get into the project management principles. The actual guide to the project management body of knowledge, we walk through the project performance domains, the concept that we've always had, but now in more detail, of tailoring the different project management processes. And then we'll talk about a new concept in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, which is on models, methods, and artifacts. So a lot of information to unpack in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. There are 12 principles in project management that we'll talk about in this course and that you'll discover in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. We'll talk about stewardship. It's paying attention and caring for our team, our customers, our stakeholders. And we will talk specifically about the team and our stakeholders. Of course, we're going to spend a great deal of time about value. Why are we doing the project? What's the business value? We'll look at a new concept of system thinking, very important. We'll talk about leadership. So important to have good leadership from you, the project manager or the scrum master, but also leadership within the team. So some important concepts there. We'll take a look at tailoring the processes. We'll define quality and what is quality in a project. So how do we know we are of quality, and how do we ascertain the expectation of quality in a project? We'll spend some time talking and addressing the complexity of project management. That projects are complex. There's a lot of moving pieces. So how do we control that complexity, live loosely within the complexity of a project? And then we're going to talk about risk. You probably know that risk, we have negative and positive risk, that we have threats and opportunities. So how do we manage risk within a project? Very important concept in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. We're going to talk about adaptability and resilience, something that we need as a project manager in any project. And then we'll address change management, whether you're in a waterfall or predictive environment, or if you have moved to an agile environment like Scrum or XP, and how do you manage change in those different approaches to project management? So a lot of concepts here in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. One of the important concepts that you'll see in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition are the 8 performance domains. The 8 performance domains, we have the team, our stakeholders, the life cycle of the project, planning. We know that planning is so important in a predictive environment, but we also have planning in our agile or Scrum or XP environment. And then we'll talk about how do you navigate the project with uncertainty and ambiguous information. So we want to be clear, but we have to sometimes work in this flux or these gray areas of project management. We'll talk about the delivery. That's the whole point of doing a project, is getting things done. So we'll talk about delivery and how do we get from concept through execution all the way to delivery. And then performance measurement. How do you know you're doing a good job? Of course, performance is always measured in results, but how do you know you're doing a good job to get to that performance measurement? And then we'll talk about the project work. The whole point of doing the project is to get things done. But to get things done, we have to execute. And of course, to execute, we have to know what it is we're trying to achieve. So as you can see, there's a lot of information in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. And while it's not a large volume of work, There's a lot of information to unpack. So let's get started today. You and I can walk through the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. You'll have a comfortable grasp on the contents of this PMBOK Guide, this new edition, and you'll feel more confident as you go about your role as a project manager or you're working towards your PMP. Get started today. You can do this. Let's keep moving forward.